Sometimes it takes 20 years for a brokerage to do that. I want to do $1 billion in a year one day.
He's the broker of the year, the newcomer of the year, advisor new broker of the year, and settled the most dollars in SA last financial year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Peter Savage. Thank you for taking the time out of your day and pausing the award-winning Fiesta for a moment to sit down with us today and share some of your insights.
Thanks for having me. We've spoken about this in the past and it's good to be here and to see that come into fruition.
Today, this is going to be a conversation for the real hardworking fathers, where the guys that are seeking approval that their goals are worthy of the sacrifices that are paid in their achievement. If you're in your lonely chapter at the moment and you need the validation that you're on the right path, this one is going to be for you. We're unpacking how to generate cash flow, how to turn that cash flow into generational wealth, and the fallacy of the work-life balance movement. As men, we're really goal-orientated, and as jarring as it probably is to hear, our goals are usually our top priority. Let's find out how you manage the duality of success and fatherhood, what's a priority, and what's a distraction. So I've got a couple quotes to shoot at you first, and I believe this one's actually still on your whiteboard. It says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Tell me more.
That's something that's stuck on that whiteboard so hard, it cannot come off, especially being something you mentioned a little bit earlier about distraction. Like you can't build a skyscraper out of matchsticks. So really working on their foundation, which, you can't build a 10-story skyscraper with a tiny little slab. So something that I attach that to is my mindset. So the mindset is the core foundation of your business. If you cannot get your mindset right, that is 99% of your business, your life, your fatherhood, everything comes down to the internal battles in your head every day.
Another one for you. People who say it should be done should not get in the way of those who are doing it. What do you mean by that?
Fuck, I hate being told no by any cunt. If someone says I can't do something, I'm going to fucking dig in really hard. I think that comes down to when I started this business, the whole time, school was a bit of a struggle. I couldn't work out why, it took me 10 times to learn something longer than anyone else because I was not designed to be in a classroom. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that actually have that kind of attributes to themselves and they just say, oh, I'm just not that smart. Going through that learning curve, one day I picked up Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's when I realized oh, fuck, I just read that front to back and I get it. That's where I realized learning my core values, which was finance, wealth creation, success, all the things I didn't have when I was a kid. Track that back to how I got into the business. I was trying to buy property because at the time I was just working, trading time for money in a factory. And I didn't know anything else, but I was looking around the factory and there was people that were in senior management and they're earning at that time, $200K a year. And I was like, fuck, I can't wait to be that guy. After about 5 years, I'm like, fuck this is boring as shit. Then I realized those people just had bigger mortgage, bigger debts. All they did was trade time for money. And I was like, well, I don't want to be that person. I'll use property. It's all I knew. Fuck, I didn't even know you could buy a house till I was 15. I thought everyone rented. I grew up in a housing trust house. So that kind of made me go, all right, property is it. Didn't know what I was doing. So I'll just keep buying it. And then my broker or a banker would be telling me, you can't do this, you can't do that. Cunt's driving a fucking Camry with no fucking portfolio. Why the fuck would I listen to him? And that's when I started to get if I'm going to listen to anyone, I'm going to listen to people who have what I want. But that took me a long time. I worked in that factory for 15 years. Because I was sitting on a bucket reading books every day about superannuation, wealth creation, everything you could think of, while everyone else is fucking listening to Joe Rogan doing fuck all or just tied up and just bullshit. I was always just intentional learning, and that's something I picked up off Toby Pierce. You got to be intentional of what you're doing, not just sitting there, just listening to stuff over and over and over again. And that's where I kind of just understood that paying to play was the biggest thing I'd ever wanted to do, investing in time. And that's where it just all circles back to, if someone tells you can't do it, that's okay. I used to try and rip their head off and tell them why. Once you get a bit more centered, a bit more grounded, I realized that's okay for them, but everything's impossible till it's done. So now I kind of do a collective pinch of salt from everyone. Even if someone's very successful, pinch of salt, pinch of salt. All I'm doing is, it looks like I've done a lot, but really you look back, it started when I was 6. And now I've got to here, it's just 1% changes over and over again. The goal's always the same, be fucking rich. Centrelink wasn't going to pay for me Lambo brakes. So I always had the same goal, and I've just been fucking like 1% every day is a fucking big difference. And that's where it comes down to in the long-winded answer to that question.
Perfect. alluded at something a little bit earlier on. Did you think that early days you'd labelled yourself as certain things and that was something that you then had to de-shackle yourself from? Labelling yourself in things of like, I don't learn well, I don't understand this, I'm not smart.
Yeah, I did that, but I also had like, I knew I thought differently. I'd be somewhere and I'd be like, everyone's at the pub drinking and talking shit, and I'd be just like watching TV or in the background. It always drew my attention, and I was always just thinking about, I wonder what that person's thinking about. I was like, fuck, does everyone think as fast as I do? And I always knew there was something different the way I thought. I would just go off on tangents, I'd be off in fairyland, and they'd just label that ADHD. Really, I wanted to be somewhere else. And that's all it is. It's just attention deficit. I wanted to be my attention somewhere else.
Stick to the fucking plan. What does it mean?
Fuck, that's something I need to have a look at every day because I'm a king for fucking side quests. I swear to God, I'll start doing something, and next thing you know, I'm booking flights to Melbourne. Like, it just naturally goes. So I need to, like, as much as everyone thinks, like, oh, you're fucking disciplined, you do this, I'm probably the most inconsistent person, but I'm consistently doing it. And that's the difference. So every day I do this, I do that a little bit better, but I'm always coming back like, fuck, stick to the plan. I'll be bad for, oh, I'm in the emails again. Oh, I'm doing this. Like, but I'm aware of it, and I put things in place so I can't go off track. Or if I go off track, I pull myself back in. I used to just not notice it. I used to be like, the world was like a little ant farm. I'd be just getting through the day. Then I go, what the fuck did I do today? And that's where it just becomes, as you grow, like your mindset, you're just more aware of the distractions. And then something we spoke about earlier preparing for this, it was like, how do you deal with distraction? It's like, well, all the sacrifices I made. And then I'd say something like, someone made a comment like, oh, about TV. I said, oh, I don't have a life, I don't watch TV. And they turned around and said, no, you're the only one who has a life. We all watch TV. And I'm like, how did I not think of that? I automatically went to that assumption to make them feel better. Mm-hmm. And that's like, wow, I learned something. And then I picked up someone saying the other day is the ultimate form of knowledge is changing your mind. And that's where it's like, I'm always just looking that bit way to do something a little bit better, a little bit sharper. And that's just kind of just sums it up in a
Stick to the fucking plan.
Stick to the plan. Because I need to do that more than anyone, because fuck the shit that, if anyone can see my day, I'm probably just sitting there like, but it's just consistently barraged with phone calls, people's attention, people need attention. And it is very hard to stick to the plan.
How many people do you think don't have a plan?
Fucking anyone.
So 1% that do have a plan.
One thing I learned is when you're a kid, you're like, fuck, when I grow up, I can't wait to get the world. Then you grow up and you realize our parents have no fucking idea what they're doing. I know that because I see their mortgages. What, you paid $70,000 for your home, but your mortgage is $450. The fuck you've been doing the whole time? And you just realize that no one actually has any idea what they're doing. Even business owners. Like, I learned that very quickly. Like, sitting in a room with Mojo as a coach, and there's some big people in that room, and like, people know how to make money, but they sacrifice everything. And that's something we're probably going to talk a lot about, is people sacrifice everything to get money, and then they're just fat, they're overweight, the kids hate them, and they're divorced. I think just paying to play early on helped me see, which plays into my distractions and plays into everything, just being hyper aware of everything around you.
I love it. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even if you don't want to do it.
Fuck.
How does this apply? Tell me how it applies.
I call that the little bitch voice. Every fucking morning I wake up, and you know what? There's people at the gym that are there every day in, day out, but I feel like they just do it. My internal guy, he's just like, fuck, you don't need to go to the gym today. You fucking went yesterday. I swear to God, every second of the day, this cunt wants me to be mediocre. I call it the little bitch voice. Everything you do, that first time you go to hesitate and you don't do it, you're like, why don't you want me to do that? And you know what? Like ice baths, I ice baths for a whole year straight. And even after doing it for fucking 9 months, I'd wake up in the morning and the first thing I thought is, it's not consciously. It's this little voice like, oh, like, have your coffee first. Go sit on the couch. Okay? I'm like, whose fucking team are you on? Like, really? And you know what? The second you get out of there, you like fucking feel amazing. And it's funny, but you forget about that little bit of how good that felt. It's like getting a tattoo. You forget how fucking shit it is until you get the needle on your skin. That's exactly like discipline. Like, why do women keep having fucking babies? Your brain goes to forget how bad the experience is because you got the fucking kid. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly like the reverse. It's like, this guy does not want me to win. This guy just wants the path of least resistance. He just wants you to eat chips, sit on the couch, do coke, do fuck all. And it just ties into like, it's just consistently there all day. Mine might be a little bit louder than everyone else's, but that's just probably just the way I operate. I feel like I'm consistently pushing against that. And that's where discipline, like, I'm not the most disciplined person. I'm the first person to find a reason why I shouldn't be doing something. But it is something that's like a muscle you're always working on. It's like going to the gym.
Probably leads into a lot of people getting super distracted.
Oh, it is the king distraction method. What's that saying? In a real good, the magic is in the work you're avoiding. Every time.
Yep. And the time it takes for you to actually make the decision and do it.
One thing that I learned really early on is the time you give it is how much it takes. If you give yourself 2 weeks to do something, you do it on the last day. So put in deadlines and you'll get it done.
From the outside looking in, delayed gratification probably doesn't seem like something that you are exercising at the moment, given the velocity and the speed at which you're growing. Talk to me about delayed gratification and what it means for you.
It's funny because my personality, you think I want everything now and I don't want it later. But I understand the power. I think it was from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's where I started to kind of get it. So I was always one to hammer and tongs, go, 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 go. But I also, someone at work when I was 18 said I should put away more for super. And I did. I started to put $100 away extra a week. So I understood the importance of later. Maybe growing up in a housing trust house, maybe there was enough pain there for me to think, well, I need to worry about there and worry about now. So now I refer to it as my clients as buckets. You've got your business bucket, your personal bucket, and your retirement bucket. So teaching people about it, you would know, most tradies, I don't fucking care. I'll be fucking dead by then. That's their mentality that was passed down by their parents. But in this day and age, you're going to spend 40, by the time we get there, you're going to be able to buy body parts. You're going to be able to live to your 100. If you retire when you're 60, you've got 40 years. Like, you need to have a think about this. The government's not there going to be help us. So having that delayed gratification, it's, people want their cake and they want to eat it, but you need to start thinking about it. And I think that's just through education. A lot of people don't start thinking about super till they're in their 40s and 50s, or I'll worry about it later. But if you stick your head in the sand, you're just kicking the can down the road. And I think it just comes down to education. A lot of people just don't want to do short-term sacrifices for a long-term gain. But as you would know, there is some huge tax incentives to self-fund your retirement. When you talk about delayed gratification, that is usually it. Like, you wouldn't delay going out with friends. Like, that's just discipline. So delayed gratification is just a form of, not discipline, it's more of like knowledge. Like, you can understand you're accountable for your future and your family's future. So if you can sit there and just go, you know what, I understand that I'm going to do this now. And a lot of people go, I don't want to do it. It's because they don't understand. If you sat down and you mapped out what you want to do in the next 3 to 5 years, and you could see that you could do both if you actually put a plan in place, reached out to the right people. Because I know you asked the question, there was no real context to it, but I put it down to wealth creation. Because there's nothing else I would fucking delay to gratify. Fuck no.
On wealth creation, there is 2 types of investment that I look at. There's the investment in the future, and then there's the investment in the experience, or the investment in the now. It looks like you're balancing them pretty well.
I like to think I'm probably a bit more skewed about, I'm 90% in the now, but I know I can spend the money. Like, for example, I just set up my whole self-managed super. I've split it. I'm going to go I just bought a residential property. I'm going to use the other 80% to buy a commercial. I can't do anything with it, so I'll just invest it. So as much as it's not free money, but it's like I've got the opportunity to do something now, because I know that if I do something now with it, I'll turn 300K into 1.5 mil of assets. Even if I did nothing else ever again, that's going to be $10 million of assets in 40 years. So it's just taking action. And it's not even sacrificing now, because I can't touch that money. It's just, I think it comes down to knowledge. Once you understand that there's things you can do out there, you just got to put a plan in place and talk to someone. Because most people just get their advice from people around them that have no fucking idea what they're talking about. And that's where it comes down to. Like, when someone sits down with me, I can hear their parents. I can hear the depression in their grandparents' voice, talk their fucking concepts about money. And it's like, that's pretty much where most people get their financial advice from, their business sense. Like, we had a mutual client I introduced you to, whose family are all in the same industry, and they won't tell him anything how to run his business. I could take a second guess, they have no fucking idea either. They're just winging it, like most people. So I just think it comes down to just asking good questions and reaching out and building a team. Like, that's why I started this business, because when I was a broker, when I was trying to buy property, I had a broker give me advice, and it was fat in a Camry. I had a fucking agent trying to sell me the property. I had an accountant who had no fucking idea, and they just worked at H&R Block. I said, I had the shittest team around me. So I want to build a business. When you come to me, I've already done decades of fucking knowledge, experience, and then I'm going to give you my personal team. If you got an accountant, like I'll find one that's best suited to you. I'll find you a buyer's agent. I'll find you an insurance person. Like that's what I want to do. When someone comes to me, I want to give them what they need. And I have the capabilities to ask really good questions and get to the core of what they need. And I think that's how we've done some business together, because you complement my employment. Like if I got a client who's at a point in his life and I'm like, I know exactly who you need to speak to get to that next level. And I think that just comes down to preparation of just investing in myself for the last 15 years.
Pete, we know there's a gap between where we are and where we want to be. You're building something for the future. And I want you to explain to us, what does your empire, your lifestyle empire actually look like?
That is a very valid question that I feel like finally in my life I can answer, because for so long it was just gas, gas, gas. Now it's got to a point where when my son was younger, I had all these big dreams, and I was always sitting there and I was always distracted thinking about them. My cup wasn't full. And I probably was like more inattentive there. Now as the business grows, I'm starting to get not my time back, but I've filled that cup up to a point where I can actually come home and switch off. Then you start to realize like, oh, there's actually, I hate the word balance, because there's no balance. Like my cup is all day, I need to be working. So my lifestyle is like, I want to be busy, but I want to be able to turn off at the end of the night. And that takes a lot of, I don't think your business doesn't give you that. That is setting up the business in a way that reflects what you want. And it will never look balanced to someone outside of that, but it gives you the mindset where you can come home and turn off. And you start to enjoy things. Like, I've recently bought a nice home. I come home and I reckon for the first time I've gone, I'm fucking enjoying this. Like it gives you that, you get those little moments where it's like, you're stopping to smell the roses a bit more. And I didn't think I'd get here this quick, but then also I've probably done more in 2 years than I thought I'd do in my whole life. I thought this is where I'd end up, not start. Mm-hmm. So it kind of brings into giving that flexibility where now I can start to think of bigger goals which have more meaning as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm just selling 30-year fucking debt. So it's kind of like, what can I do with this? And it comes down to just adding value into as many people's lives as possible. And that's when I realized, like, even my partner, Terry, she's in the business as well. We're very aligned with our goals in that. And that's where the superpower comes from. Now you can comfortably talk about work all fucking day. And that's where it's like, wow, like this, we actually built something fucking awesome.
I love it. Everyone does build their empire differently though. We know there's some similarities. We do have to have a passive income and an earned income. What does your empire look like in the future?
Well, other than being a $1 billion business, that $1 billion brokerage, settling $1 billion, I want to do it in a year. Sometimes it takes 20 years for a brokerage to do that. I want to do $1 billion in a year one day. I will get there. But I think in terms of the value we can provide to the people watching this, you've got to anchor something to your business. Because if you don't have a meaning for it, mine is to help as many people, and I love working with self-employed. Like that is how we've connected. Like at my mindset, your nuts and bolts about business in general. Like we make a fucking absolute team, and we can talk so much shit about fucking business. And I think that's where we connected so well. I think someone getting into business, you need to think about not only like, the worst type of person is, I'm a tradie, I'm killer. I'm going to go work for myself. Oh, this is fucking shit. Like anyone could fucking be a good tradie, but being a business owner is a totally different fucking ball game. And what you need to understand, what do I want to get out of this business? Because for fuck's sake, you're not going to get more time back. You're fucking working 7 days a week. So I think building a business where you've got an exit strategy, what kind of business you want, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Because I know what my business is to be, but I think predominantly when I work with my self-employed clients, they usually come to me, they've got 3 to 4 employees, they're fucking at a point where they come to me and they're avoiding tax. I'm like, why are you avoiding tax? Why do you not want to earn more money? Stop doing fucking cash easy, dogs. Now, that's where it comes down to. It's like, well, you start getting clear, like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to work for 40 years and wind the business up? You can't sell because you're a tradie? Oh, no. So what are you going to do in the meantime? Pay your home off? No. Do you want a boat? Yes. So it's like, you got to start to understand, what are your goals? Once the client works out what they want, I said, well, to get there, you got to pay more tax cut. Like that is it. Like you need to pay tax. You've got to pay to play. It's called a success fee. Stop saying tax. And I think that's where when a client goes, all right, that's what I want to build. That's when they'll be more receptive to an accountant's advice, a broker's advice, which is you got to be careful because accountants are not created equal. Just mean you're qualified doesn't mean that you fucking should give advice.
They're not all created equal, are they?
There's a reason they look like they're the reason they're like the cunts from Harry Potter with all the fucking goblins at the bank. But like good brokers, good accountants are hard to come by because it all comes down to like their mindset. Like brokers aren't created equal. We all have the same products, but if your broker's just doing refinances every day, how are they going to know about self-employed? And that comes down to accountants, coaches, and everything as well. What experience does that person have? Getting that end goal, then it's just like breaking down little baby steps along the way. And once you actually break it down, a lot of people think they think. No one actually puts it onto paper and goes, all right, well, how am I going to get from A to B? All right, what's the first step? What's the second step? When you actually look at it, you're like, that's not that fucking bad. My goal is I sit down with clients every year. I go, cool, you want that property? You need to hit this net profit. Then next year, you don't need to double it. I said, I need 30%. If we stay at 30% each year, the banks are like, you're the best. And that's like, and they go, oh, that's manageable. I said, I know, it's not that fucking hard. Just pay your tax cut.
This isn't where you tell someone to stick to the fucking plan, would it be?
This guy's going to know when I'm talking about him. He just got his commercial fucking settled. And he thanked me after and he rings me and he's like, look, I can walk away with an extra 150K overnight. Sell it. It's like, no. He's like, I knew you'd say that. He's like, hear me out. I said, no. I said, like, you want to build a large portfolio, you're looking at the shiny fucking carrot. This is a brand new warehouse. You paid fuck all for it. Now it's been built. You've got it. I said, don't look at the fucking carrot. He's like, yeah, but I can sell that and buy a couple of resis. I said, man, we've got enough resi. Let's keep the commercial. Let's go move some other assets around, rinse some money out of those cunts and buy some more properties. He's like, you reckon? He's like, yes. He writes back. He's like, cool, thanks. I needed that. Like, I'm not afraid to tell someone that's the stupidest fucking thing I've heard all day. I literally, someone will sit there and I'll just stare at them while I'm talking to them on the phone and like, you're about to grill me, aren't you? I said, oh, I can't wait to rip your head off about this one. Because people just, as much as like our industry is all about the client, offering recommendations, clients are fucking stupid. There's no way a client should be able to pick their products, pick anything. It's like, this is the best one suited for you. Talk to your accountant about it. Because at the end of the day, I'll do the finance, but we're going to make sure it's structured the right way in the business. That's why I work closely with accountants. And sometimes I need to give the accountants a little fucking stiff word as well, because accountants' job is to reduce your tax. And then if an accountant comes to you and I always say, show me your drafts before you lodge it. You show me your drafts, I'll show you your year. And then I'll see it and I go, if you move this, I know what you're doing here. You don't need a claim. That's a bit creative. I said, if you move this X, you can defer it, do what the fuck you want, and you have this as your taxable income, you can buy that. And they'll go back and they'll go, I'm like, the accountant's like, oh, you got to pay. I'm like, how much? Extra 3.5, 10 grand? And they're like, oh, that's fuck all. But to your accountant, it's a lot. So you've only got two modes, tax saving or wealth creation. And it's funny because the accountant know, but if you are in that debt, like a lot of accountants are underpaid and overworked. They should be like lawyers, fucking fee for service, billable hours, because you'd get the best fucking advice. Sometimes a client will come to me and their accountant like structures their books in a way and I go back and tell them your fucking goals. They'll come back with all these fucking ideas. And it's like, you ignite something in them. But my job is to help the client figure out those goals, prep them with the questions to ask better questions. And it all just comes down to asking really thorough questions and calling people out on bullshit. You can tell when someone's got a goal and there's no substance to it. You're like, where'd you fucking steal that from, cunt?
Exactly. Mate, let's shift gears for a sec. I want to talk about personal brand because it gives me an excuse as a fellow car enthusiast to talk about the R8. How does a supercar improve or affect a personal brand?
Fucking, honestly, I reckon that's like street cred. That's the best thing I've done. Not only did I get to buy 7-year-old Pete's fucking dream car, the second I bought it, I was already planning the Lambo. But you're like, instantly, like my ideal clients are self-employed. I love working with people who have big goals. They align to my goals. Everyone wants nice shit in life, and the people who don't want to just don't want to have to do the effort. So the supercar was a branding move. Like even getting that car was hard. Like who the fuck's going to give a mortgage broker a low-dot fucking R8? And they looked at my social media. They actually looked it up, and they're like, this guy's, he goes to auctions and all that stuff. And I try to be like, I'm like a real estate agent. Like everything's sales. And it has been the best thing by far. It has probably brought in so much business, it's paid for itself. It's insane what the car did. And then the house, I bought the house. And that was another fucking move. Like, it's like street cred. As soon as everyone's like, fuck, this cunt's actually pulling it off. Because you can sit there and go, oh yeah, but you financed it. I said, yeah, fucking duh, I'm in finance. No one can walk into a fucking bank and get that. Like I had to produce stuff to get that asset, but it's instantly just gone like, wow, this guy can do it. 2.5 years ago, I was sitting in a factory, 6 figures of the portfolio, went for a separation, had to start from scratch, you know, walked out, I think finalized about a year ago. I walked out with a 750K house. Now I've got 3 million assets, just bought an investment through Super, looking for a commercial for Savage Money headquarters. And that's been like 18 months. So it's like, if I fucking did it, you know, I might be more driven than everyone else. You know, I'm a bit over the top. But the sacrifices have still been made. If someone sees that, and it's surprising, when I first started out, I was doing all these posts and people are like, why are you posting your ice bath? Oh, what are you doing this for? And then and it starts to pick traction. Now I get people messaging, oh my God, I love seeing your shit every day. You know, it makes me want to make changes and stuff. People are coming out. I'm showing how to invest in property. Everyone is fucking better off for me being public. Because in my industry, there isn't many brokers that are out there. Finance is the key to wealth creation, which is houses thrown in. If I can educate enough people, the needle of their wealth creation is gonna move forever. So it's just, stopping generational poverty. I'm educating parents how to stop doing dumb shit with money. And that's all branding. So the more eyeballs I can see, the more people are gonna call me and be better off.
Perfect. I want to poke on 2 years ago, starting out. You're a different man then than you are today. What was your routine like? Because there's a lot of people that talk about their ideal routine and their morning rituals and all the other tomfoolery that they get up to. But I want to know, for the guys who are still on the trajectory in the trenches, how can they relate to your routine back then?
Life was fucked. I worked in a factory, I hated my job. You know, I had to come home, I had to pick either doing overtime or going to the gym. I wasn't living my values. I know I was destined to do big shit. And I didn't like about anything I was doing at the time. My routine was like, there was about 6 months, it was almost a year's preparation to become a broker because I knew what I wanted to do. Actually, I was driving a Ferrari with a mate and he was a broker. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be a fucking broker too. Like that. Then it was like, all right, cool. I decided what I'm gonna do. After 15 years of reading fucking books, I figured out what I wanted to do. But I couldn't go do it. I had fucking a $3 million portfolio. I had all this debt. I was on fucking 6 figures in a factory, trading time for money. You can't just go quit your job. So it was like this slow, gradual step of, I was studying, doing 12-hour days. I was studying at fucking 3 or 4 in the morning. I'd go to work, come home, see my son. And it was just this continuous battle. And it was like, then I got to a point where the business was going, but I still had to work for a few months. I did all my accreditations. It was a fucking shit show. It was just absolutely grinding. And then the second that I took money out of my property, because I did it about $70,000. I needed some sort of injection. As soon as I fucking got it, bang, quit my job. And I just went full steam. I'd never wrote a loan before, and I fucking started Savage Money. And I'm like, I'll figure it out. And you know what? I know why people don't, because it's a fucking nightmare. I'd never used emails, Outlook, any sort of computering. And I had to like set up all the CRM, all the backend DNS, all that shit. You know what I did? I just figured it out. If I didn't do it, I fucking Googled it, YouTubed it. And that's where like a lot of people say like, who does your content? I just fucking do it. Like I can just whip my phone out and within 20 minutes I post a video and everyone's like, who does your content now? I'm like, I still do it because I just do it, like figured it out. And it just comes down to like, the routine is just, I seen a picture the other day, it's all these cups. People think consistency is full. Consistency is just doing something every fucking day. So it was just always working on a goal, setting a thing, get that one ticked, done. Work on the little ones first. Get some fucking self-esteem, get some stuff. But generally you've got to, so many people reach out, like, I want to go start my own business. I get a lot of tradies who are pay YG. And even though I'm sitting with them, I'm like, what are your big goals? Do you want to go out on your own? Cool, let's do this. But then let's start talking about getting you out on your own. Let's get you that next investment property. And then let's go get you an ABN. Because we need to start thinking, if you're going to go start a business, you can't borrow for a while. Let's get you right. And let's get you your business set up. Let's get you someone like yourself to start their business, some advice or some other sort of ways to get them the right information. So that's where it's kind of like, you just got to put those plans in motion. Like back when I started, I didn't have any of that. There was no one around me doing well, you know? So I kind of just read books and stuff. So every time a client sits down with me now, they get all those books, they get all those dollars I've spent, all that travel, the people I've hung out with, they get all that just for fucking doing finance with me. And that's where it comes down to like, it's small manageable steps over a period of time. And you just got to break it down into manageable chunks. And that doesn't mean doing ice baths and fucking breathing every morning. It does not. We do that for ourselves because ice baths clear my fucking head. Same with journaling. Like some people don't need a journal. I do it because I'm hanging on to fucking 45 thoughts every fucking 10 minutes. And it's in the morning, I just wake up. You know what? I've written it down. If I need to remember, I'll come back. You never fucking look at it again. You just write it down and you fuck it off.
That's the perfect segue. I want to know about the man you are today, because we've touched on quite a bit about the man you were previously. But the man you are today, what does your routine look like now? What is a day in the life of Pete?
Well, one thing I've learned about myself is business is my absolute highest priority. If I don't train in the morning, I cannot train later on. Like if I go to the gym at anytime after 6 o'clock, I'm thinking about work. So what I need is my life revolves around my business, and that's the lifeblood, and that's what I enjoy doing. So if I do that all day, that's where I get the most fulfillment from. And then I'm a better father. I'm a better everything else. So in the morning, I need to get all the shit stuff out of the way. I fucking hate training. I fucking hate cardio. I go there because I just don't want to be a fat cunt. That's it. I just need to go there and move my body. So I want to get gym out of the way early. Ice bath. I haven't set it back up though since I moved, but like I'll get all those things out of the way, because if you do that all in the morning, you've won the day. If you can eat well, train, do whatever you need to do in the morning, then you just go start your day, and that's where you go 100% in. If you've done all the hard things first, the day just gets easier. That's why I like ice baths so much, not for fucking any other reason. Getting in that fucking 0.5 degree water at fucking 4:30 in the morning in the middle of winter outside, nothing can be fucking harder than that. No phone call, no uncomfortable conversation. You've done it. Like, sit in the fucking cold water, you're done.
So you don't do it just to post on Instagram?
I just do that because I need to post content every fucking 2 hours.
I'm just
like,
razzing.
100%, because that's one thing about my social media as well. People think I am consistently posting. I haven't made a video for like 3 weeks, really, like a proper video. I've just been making little reels. I post Instagram every couple of hours, and this is something everyone can fucking do. If you post, you go back to the front of the stories. So if you just keep posting every 2 hours, doesn't matter what you put up, you go back to the front. People kind of look at the first 10, then they start scrolling. So if you just keep going back to the front, you get the most views. So that's where I'm always, people feeling like they're like, fuck, I see you everywhere. I'm like, well, I know you haven't seen my videos. It must be my stories, because that's where I big consistency. I've just got to keep me in front of you.
Talk to me about personal development. I know that entrepreneurship, as much as I dislike the word, is a journey of personal growth. What are you currently learning?
One thing that I've put no energy into, and when I stick my head in the sand, I stick my head in the sand, and that's marketing, advertising, any sort of shit. I was just posting for the fucking fun of it. Now I've got to a point where I want to actually know a bit more about it. You know, I'm reading fucking one of Gary Vee's books at the moment, Something Attention, just so I don't want to do it all myself. There'll be a point where I don't want to do it, but I want to know more about it, more about the psychology of advertising, people's thought processes. You know, like my videos work. You know, I'm always doing the hook, problem, solution. So at the moment, I'm just studying more about, I want to focus more on the branding side of it, be a bit more intentional, because I think a lot of it, I'm just posting whatever, and it works. But the brand is going to go through a shift when I'm bringing in a lot of back end now. We're building out the back end so we can serve more clients a lot quicker. I know there's going to be a point where I've got my time back. I'm going to go like Jack Henderson style on fucking content. I'm going to be everywhere, so I'm going to annoy every cunt. And I just want to, and it's going to be really good quality. Like, I want to move to that next level, but at the moment, I'm just doing it myself. So that's where I want to start to shift my processes more on the branding, more intentional, and just being intentional with the learning. Actually, don't just put on a book and drive, and just actually sit there, stop, think about it, how I can implement it. Have I thought about that? Do
you take notes while you're going through these things? When you're listening to something, reading something, you're sitting there with a highlighter, sitting there with a notepad?
No. I wouldn't fucking do it if I did, because I wouldn't cut time out, which means it's not that important. So, but the only thing I do is I listen to everything at 1.8 times, only just because if you're driving, you turn the music down. So if you're listening to it at 1.8 to 2, you are listening to it because you have to pay attention. So that's how I can take the knowledge a bit better. And someone said something about it. I don't know who said this. You don't need to read you don't need to remember the whole book. You just, when you read the book, take 3 to 4 takeaways. And that's all it is. So you just need to just take 3 or 4 things and go implement it. Go back on the book in a few years, 3 or 4 things will stand out more because you're ready for them. And one thing that my coach always fucking drills into me, he'll say something 10,000 times, and then one day he'll say it, I'm like, oh, fuck, it clicked. I got it. You just need to, when you're ready for it, it'll stand out. So you might read a book and you'll get one thing, but next time you get something different. So you're at different levels. Like I said, the man I am today, if you ask someone for me 2 years ago, I was fucking chaotic. I was erratic. I couldn't even talk to you without getting out of breath because I talk so quick. I'm talk quick now, but I was very erratic. Now I'm a bit more centered. I'm a bit more methodical about how I think. I actually think through things a bit better. I don't fucking just say the most random shit ever. So I've definitely grown through personal development and just being around other people that are in similar kind of areas, because you think, oh, I'm different. But when you actually get into a room of successful people, we're all fucking weird cunts. We are, there's a reason we're successful, because we are ballsy motherfuckers. And we want more out of life, and we're not afraid to get rejected. You know, you can either win or you get a lesson.
Mate, in life, we must choose our regrets. What trade-offs did you have to make to be here?
I was just thinking about this yesterday because I was just at a seminar and someone was saying the biggest regrets of his life was the properties he sold and the properties he didn't buy. And then I was thinking, someone made a comment about, it was about the same comment I made about watching TV, you know, I don't have a life. I look back, I don't go out for dinner. We've been
Once
trying
or
to
twice.
We've been that's what I mean. Never go out for fucking dinner. I don't go out on the weekends. I work. I come home and spend time with the family. And you know what? And then you go, oh fuck, I haven't done anything for a while. But then I thought about it. The reason I haven't done them is why I'm being successful, because those things hold you back. So you know, if someone goes out on a fucking Saturday, they recover by Wednesday, Thursday. You're getting 1 or 2 productive days a week, and then you just get back on. Once you get out of that kind of cycle and you just stop seeing those people that's all they do, you get out of that kind of rat race, you actually get steps forward, not 3 steps forward, 1 step back. So at the time, only just probably the last month, I've realized like, I actually haven't missed out on anything because everyone else is still doing the same shit. You could fuck off overseas for 5 years, come back and nothing's changed with 99% of people. So what I thought was a sacrifice was actually the key to how I got here so quickly.
As a leader of the business and a leader of the family, why is it important for you to succeed?
I reckon Terry's going to question the leader. Look, I think it just comes down to what's the thing about, like, you know, you buy a white BMW, you see white BMWs everywhere. So when I was a kid, you know, me and my brother grew up, same scenario, 14 months apart. He noticed that my dad wasn't around. I noticed I had holes in my jumper and I didn't have nice things. 2 different mindsets, 2 different perceptions. So he grew up very family orientated. I grew up just wanted to be rich, successful. I wanted money. Money was a pain in my family. There wasn't enough of it. It caused arguments. That was like a pain factor. So my vision was I was looking for success. My brothers was looking for family. So I was always just like, I need to be successful. I need to be successful. Because I wanted to do, it wasn't even the materialistic, like getting the R8. Because the second I got that, I was thinking, what do I get next? Because the best part about it is the journey. And then the person you become to get there. Because now, like, the second I bought that, I'm like, oh, fucking, I want a Hurricane Spider next year. And I'll fucking get it. But everyone's like, well, why don't you just have what you got? I'm like, you just don't understand. Because the second you get that, you want something else. Because it benchmarks you. Because the person who can buy a Bugatti is a whole different level, unless you're selling scams online. So it's like, it's just levels up to the process. It's a part of the journey. Like, I want to be the guy who has a fucking $5 billion yacht. And that's it. And it's like, people look at, oh, that's materialistic. I said, no, because the person to get there, imagine the journey you've got to be that person, the business you've got to have. Imagine the fucking head fucks and people problems in a business, the zeros on your problems at that level. And that's what I love. Like, it's a fucking game. I worked out my business could not grow ever again and stay where I am. I could pay off my mortgages. I could have money. I could live a very comfortable life if I never grew ever again. And I'm like, yeah, but that's fucking shit. Someone could give you $10 million and you just you could lose the drive and your life's over. Like, if you can't grow, you're fucking dead.
So the fulfillment comes from the challenge.
100%. Like, I keep setting goals and I keep getting them too quickly. So I need to actually sit down and make some really fucking
Set some
audacious
harder
goals.
goals. You need some harder goals.
I need some fucking harder goals. I made a joke like 2 months ago and I was like, oh, you know, we did like 14 loans this month, which is insane. And I go, imagine if you could do like a loan a day. And then in the last 2 months, we did 45 loans in 43 business days. And I was like, well, fucking, I thought that was like a year later. So it's like, it's consistently like, what's next or what's next? Like, but I think now it's got to a point where the first few goals, like they say, the first million's the hardest. The first few goals are very, very pressure. You put so much pressure on yourself. You feel like you're not giving the family its time. I've got to a point now, I know I'm going to be all right. Now I can be a bit more smell the roses, enjoy myself. There's a lot less pressure now because I think the Cunny said this. like, what's next? He's like, I've done more in my life than I ever thought I could. I thought I'd be 60 with my house and a supercar, and I'm here, under 40, and I've done it. And I'm like, everything else is just a fucking bonus. Every day I wake up, didn't get hit by a bus, fucking sweet.
What does it mean to be a role model for your children, or how does it look?
This is something
What is the ideal scenario?
This is something that I contemplate a lot, because I put down to my drive to going without, you know, and it put like a desperation to succeed. You know, obviously my son's going to grow up, and trying to not turn someone into a spoiled brat, but give him good values around money. It's like a question that me and Terry talk about all the time. You just got to I think that the key is getting someone to understand early the exchange of value, not trading time for money, and just having good values around not getting sucked into things that are not important. And it's very hard because, you know, fucking like look at what we are. There's a lot of people that go, well, our parents didn't kill us. We're like pot plants. We're all good. So it's hard to work out what that next, how do you do it properly? And we won't know till they're older, I suppose. They'll tell us when they're 14 to get fucked. And like, fuck you, you little cunt.
We'll keep trying and we'll keep
That's
trying.
That's what I mean.
Again.
Like it is something that, you know, because I feel like growing up with nothing is why I'm here. So what do they say? Like weak times create strong men. Now I'm like, well, if my son grows up with everything, how do you make sure that he doesn't turn into a spoiled little brat? And you know what? Then they do talk back to you, and you're thinking like, "Fuck, am I fucking this up?" But then you're not. I think it's the people who give people everything that just creates that bad kind of toxic. You know, just getting him to understand value. Because every day he asks me, he's like, "Dad, did you can you buy me that? Can I buy that house?" Because I started to already say like, I help people buy property, and like, you know, like, and he kind of starts to get the thing of it. So like, just trying to instill values. He's probably going to think, fuck, I'm never getting into finance. He never shut up about it. But, you know, it is what it is. It can't be any worse than me.
He might only work it out a little bit later on. What's involved, how much work's involved in it.
Yeah.
Peter Savage, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.